Metal Slug!
During the fourth generation of consoles, the main competitors were the Genesis/Mega Drive and the SNES, both amazing in their own rights. We also saw some very interesting options, like NEC with the PC Engine, also known as TurboGrafx in the West. But to me, the pinnacle of that generation, and maybe 2D games in general, was SNK's Neo Geo. It had a plethora of jaw-dropping games, like for example the Fatal Fury series,
Yes! Okay!
or my favorite fighting game series ever, the King of Fighters.
It all began in 94, kept on rolling in 95, and we're in place in 96, it came to an end in 97, and now it comes, and here we go. Cable Editors here again.
But the first game that pops in my head whenever I think of this iconic startup boot is Metal Slug. This game, developed by Nazca, is not only one of the best Neo Geo games ever made, it's probably one of the best action run and gun games, period. Developed during the 3D craze of the mid-90s, they knew that if they want to stand out with a 2D game, they would have to go all out, and they did exactly that. This game is probably the one I've beaten the most amount of times in my life. Back in my early teens, for a year I had to go to school in the afternoons, so I had no times in the mornings to go out and play with my friends, since pretty much all of them were studying in the mornings. So I would play my PS1 every single morning, and I would beat this game at least once every single day, meaning that I must have beaten this game over 200 times in that year alone. But Tatsu lore aside, let's talk about this masterpiece. Metal Slug is a run and gun game, as you can probably see, similar to Contra, where you mow down waves upon waves of bad guys, tanks, planes, and anything that more than would throw at you. You control Marco, a 25 years old genius soldier, leader of the PF army, against a whole army of bad guys, aided by Tarma if you're playing co-op. Fun fact by the way, since the only way to play as Tarma on the first Metal Slug was to be player 2 on co-op game, as a kid, I would often start co-op with controller 2, then die and not continue as controller 1, just so I could play as Tarma in single player, since he's clearly the cooler character. Oh my god, imagine my happiness when Metal Slug 2 came around and you could select which character you wanna play. But that's a story for another day. This game came out on the Neo Geo arcade machines and the home console, but it was also ported to the Neo Geo CD, Sega Saturn, and the PS1, which was the version I played the most.
Heavy machine gun.
But Tatsu, you're from Latin America, how come you played a Japanese exclusive game on your PS1?
First of all, how do you know I grew up on Latin America?
You said your favorite fighting game was the King of Fighters?
Oh, right. Well, you could say that in Brazil we had our own ways of getting access to games back in the 90s. Anyway, back in the topic. The CD console versions were a bit different. For one, they came with some extra content not present in the arcade version. Like the Combat School for example, a place where you can play the levels in a time attack style, or my favorite, the survival mode. Here you only have one life and have to try to survive for as long as you can. No tanks to help you here. But at least you have unlimited ammo for the weapon pickups, meaning infinite shotgun.
Shotgun!
It's really hard to reach the final boss in survival mode with only one life, but it's not impossible. Here in Combat School is where we meet Sophia, the new character created only to train us in these new modes. And can I confess something? This character right here,
名前を教えて
my first 2D crush ever. I was completely in love with her as a kid. No idea why, but it probably has something to do with the art gallery. We have more than a dozen fan arts done by the game artists of Sophia, meaning that clearly I wasn't the only one in love with her. Talking about the art gallery is the other bonus we have on the CD parts of the game, with a few different collection of artwork for us to peruse, full of jaw-dropping art. This always filled me with inspiration, and was one of the reasons why I loved to draw as a kid. There's plenty of interesting art here, like for example this two drawing that look like early versions of Phil and Ari, doesn't it? Another fun fact, here in the gallery we find out that both Marco and Tarman were born in 2005, meaning that they're Gen Z.
Yo, we finna beat more than ass, for real, no cap.
The last addition to the game is another story, a little collection of simple minigames starring the prisoners of war. Sadly, since I don't speak Japanese, I'm not sure what the story is about. All I know is that it's about their escape. Among the minigames, there's a Find the POW minigame, this incredibly fun runner where you have to dodge shots while jumping infinite pits, while cosplaying as a decocker. This one where I have no clue what is going on and only ever pass it by sheer luck. And even the end credits have a fun minigame where you have to dodge bombs while trying to cross this path. It's some simple but good stuff, great little bonus. But that's not all, this game also has a few extra things that make it a bit different from the arcade version. For example, on the options you can change the game difficulty, change the amount of lives each continue have, remap the controls, and my favorite little extra, the Vulcan Fix option. With this turn on, you can hold the shoot button while on the tank and that will lock the machine guns in place, allowing you to move with the tank without changing the direction of the shots. With this, we can do things like this, or this. I love this feature and I wish it would be brought back someday. After beating the game, we can also choose which stage we want to start the arcade mode from. That way we can train certain parts of the game without having to play it all from scratch. We also have loading screens now. What? I never said that all the changes were good ones. But at least with these new loading screens we also get this neat little level progress graph that in no way, shape or form is a good trade-off, but at least we don't leave empty-handed, eh? Oh, and at least on the PS1 version, we get way less frames of animation compared to the arcade versions, that is. You win some, you lose some, I guess. This game looks absolutely gorgeous, with smooth animations, incredible pixel art, vibrant colors and a sense of humor unmatched. Look how the tank, parked on the top of this ridge, falls on its face when you blow up the ground beneath it. Or how the bridge falls to the water when you blow up its support. Or how about this part, where after beating this mid-level boss, you go up on the structure and see the city in the background with the planes approaching. So cool. The amount of details on everything, from the scenery to the enemies, or even background characters that are here just for flavor. This game oozes effort, and it's clearly created by a very passionate team of artists. They are the best in their fields. It's simply jaw-dropping. It kinda feels like it was made not only for the person playing, but also for the people around the arcade, giving them plenty of things to look at while they wait for their turn. And although it's about war, it feels more like a criticism about the absurdity of it all, much like Ken of Fodder in the past. Here mow down hundreds of soldiers in the name of peace, and although our intentions are good since we want to start modern plans, we have to disconnect with the fact that the enemy soldiers are human too, something that is depicted in the ending, where we see this somber little scene of a little girl mourning the loss of a loved one. Probably an enemy soldier judging by the green helmet. And one of the best things about the first game is exactly that, it's about war and nothing more. And even though the general style of the game lends itself to comedy, we get some glimpses every now and then of the horrors of war and the impact it has on the lives of people. And this makes this game more grounded than the rest of the series. And don't get me wrong, I know the game was already flirting with the paranormal, like this little Easter egg of an alien on this last level, or the dozens of artworks depicting vampires and werewolves. And I do love all the Metal Slug games, as wacky as they can be, but this more realistic approach to the setting makes this first one very different from the rest, and I love it for that. This game had 7 follow-up games, and 2 enhanced versions of previous games, a bunch of mobile games, and just recently had a new free-to-play game released. And although it can't compare to the pixel art perfection of the previous games, it seems to be made by people who love the source material. There's also Metal Slug Tactics on the way, but God only knows when that would drop. I can't wait. Maybe someday I'll talk about the other games in the series. Which one would you like me to talk about? Let me know in the comments. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching my video, I really hope you liked it, and if you did, drop a like to help me out, and consider subscribing because I intend to make more videos like this one. That's it, bye bye.